Welcome to the Unapologetically Aligned Woman, a space where your darkness and shadows are not flaws to be fixed or healed away, but honored, decoded, and reclaimed as the truest expression of your soul's deepest power. I'm Tiffany Silvestri, and I'm so honored to walk with you through the messy, sacred terrain of shadow work, embodiment, and radical feminine reclamation. This podcast is for the woman who's done being digestible, the woman whose fire has been tamed, whose softness has been hardened, and whose body is quietly aching to be heard again. Within each episode, we are diving deep into where so many of our stories begin. Not into the darkness as punishment, but into the underworld as initiation. With the masks we are taught to wear and the armor we thought we had to earn, the survival archetype so many of us carry is the strong woman. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Unapologetically Aligned Woman, where we don't fear the fire, we walk through it. If you've made it this far in your descent, you already know something is dying in you. And as terrifying as that might feel, you're not breaking down, you're being reborn. But not in a way that the internet sells it to you these days. This episode is not about becoming your best self. It's about becoming your realest self. And that journey requires a rupture. Let's start by telling the truth about rebirth. It is not all sunshine and rainbows. It's not a new playlist. It's not a haircut or a caption with a butterfly emoji. Rebirth, real rebirth, feels like loss. It feels like confusion. It feels like everything you've ever identified with crumbling at your feet. Because the version of you that knew how to survive, she's not who you're here to become. And when that version dies, even if you choose it, you're still allowed to grieve. You're still allowed to scream, to freeze, to feel like nothing makes sense anymore. That doesn't mean you're failing. That means you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And let's be honest, rupture isn't poetic when you're in it. It's shaking hands. It's staring at the ceiling, wondering who the hell you are. It's not being able to hold a conversation because your nervous system is just simply fried. It's feeling like you're floating outside of your life, watching all of the pieces fall. Maybe it's even a relationship ending. And these could be close relationships, family relationships, or even simply your business not feeling aligned anymore. The identity you've held for years no longer fits your body. And yet something inside you is whispering, this is right, even if it hurts. That's the paradox of rupture. Everything's falling apart. And yet, for the first time, something true is coming through. So let's look at the cosmic mirror, because astrology shows us exactly how this process is unfolding for your soul's blueprint. First, let's take a look at Pluto, the gatekeeper of the sacred death and rebirth process. When Pluto activates, something is being excavated at the roots. Something toxic, outdated, or false must die for your true power to rise. Pluto is the destroyer, the transformer, the underworld gatekeeper. When Pluto touches your identity, your relationships, or your purpose, it is anything but subtle. It will excavate everything that is false, rip away comfort, codependence, and surface-level survival mechanisms. But Pluto isn't here to ruin you. It's here to strip you of what was never you in the first place. You're meant to rise from these ashes, but not until you let the old self burn. Pluto rules the nervous system at its rawest. It is said that it also controls the reptilian brain. So the moment where you're shaking, weeping, and begging for relief, remember that this is not weakness, it's initiation. Next, we'll look at Uranus. So if Pluto is slow death, Uranus is the lightning strike, sudden change, radical breakups, identity implosion. It shatters the shoulds and strips away conformity. It might look like chaos, but it's actually liberation. Uranus ruptures the version of you built for approval. It wants your truth, and it doesn't wait for your permission. When Uranus hits your ascendant, moon, Venus, or even your IC, it's a soul scream. You are not who you've been pretending to be. So this energy feels wild, chaotic, electric, but it's your freedom code. So let the ground shake. So then we'll look at the South Node, which shows the karmic patterns that you are unraveling. It's what you've clung to for safety and now must be released. The South Node is what you have outgrown. It's what you've brought from previous lifetimes to use as your spiritual tool belt, but grow through that. It is the karmic costume that no longer fits you. So when you're in your South Node unraveling, you'll feel like everything familiar is fading. The patterns, the people, the roles you've clung to for lifetimes, and still you'll be tempted to hold on. Because what's dying is comfortable, but what's being born is true. So let it go. The identity that was built from pain is not your home anymore. And then let's take a look at Saturn. Saturn holds the old structures that held your survival. When Saturn is in play, you're being asked to rebuild, but not from fear, from sovereignty. Your routines, career, boundaries, and your coping mechanisms, all shaped by what you believed would keep you safe. When Saturn comes for you, it is not a punishment. It is to say, is this built on truth or trauma? And Saturn will dismantle what is false so that you can build what is sovereign. And yes, grief will come with that. So does freedom. And finally, we'll take a look over at our 8th house, the house that is your sacred portal of transformation, loss, intimacy, death, and deep regeneration. Wherever the 8th house is in your chart, that's where you're being initiated. This is where your ego cracks, your shadows rise, and your power comes not from performance, but from survival. This is soul work, and your chart knows the way. It's the house that we find loss, trauma alchemy, sexual rebirth, financial surrender, and energetic inheritance. This house doesn't deal with that surface level healing crap. It pulls you into the underworld, into the dark room where your ego dies and your truth gets born. Wherever the 8th house is activated, you're not just transforming, you're becoming unrecognizable. And that is sacred. Astrology doesn't just chart who you are. It reveals what must die for your soul to live fully expressed. And again, rupture is not random, it's ritual. And your chart holds the blueprint of every single breakdown, breakthrough, and burning. So explore those 5 cosmic initiators of your rebirth. These placements, transits, and houses don't just explain what's happening, they validate it. You are never too much. You are not broken. You are the fire your soul asked for, and the chart will confirm it for you. You are not meant to survive this season of life. You're meant to reconstruct from truth. So let's just dismantle the lies right now. That lie, if it's messy, it's wrong. If you're grieving, you've failed. Or if you're lost, you're off track. You were taught that power looks like composure. Healing means upward motion, and chaos should be cleaned up, tucked away, and spiritualized. But in the ancient feminine traditions, chaos is holy, and grief is sacred, and the void is where rebirth begins. Grief is not a detour on your healing path, it is the path. It's the sacred unwinding, the deep sobbing, the silence where nothing makes sense anymore, and yet something in you knows you're not going back. Grief is how your body metabolizes the truth, how your nervous system clears space for who you're becoming, and how your spirit honors what once was while choosing to rise. You are not regressing if you're crying. You are not low vibe if you are angry. And you are not off path if you're on the floor. You are in process, in the portal, and your tears are the evidence that something sacred is leaving you so something sovereign can rise. We as a culture have confused order with safety, but the feminine knows better. Creation does not begin with clarity. It begins with cracking, rupture, destruction, unraveling. It begins when the system you built around your trauma finally collapses. You want to live in truth? Then let it fall. Let the version of you that was built to be loved finally be laid to rest. Your power does not come from holding it all together. It comes from letting go of what no longer fits and surviving it. And here's the sacred paradox. The more you allow the chaos, the more clarity emerges. The more you surrender to grief, the more space is created for real power. Because power doesn't rise from perfection. It rises from the ashes, from the wreckage of who you used to be, from the bone, deep knowing that you're still here. And this part of the journey isn't about answers. It's about allowing. Let the fire do its work. Let the grief move through you. Let the old self fall to her knees and become compost for your next becoming. You are not failing, you are shedding. And on the other side of this chaos is a woman who remembers her power was never in the mask. It was in her rawness, her grief, her ability to die and rise again and again. You are becoming her now. So I invite you to take a really deep breath with me here. Drop down into your body, down into your root, into the part of you that's afraid and ready at the same time. And ask yourself, what part of me is dying right now? What am I clinging to out of fear, even though I know it no longer fits who I'm becoming? Give yourself a little bit of time to go through this and feel the answer. Write it down. Feel it in your bones. Honor the grief, because this is your portal. This isn't an aesthetic transformation, and it's not a level up. This is your soul choosing truth over safety, power over performance, and depth over digestibility. If you are in the rupture, you're not alone. You're in the fire where the real ones rise. If you're ready to see what part of your chart is being burned and rebirthed, book a natal chart reading with me, and we'll map the transits, the soul cycles, and the power you're reclaiming. And if you're walking through grief, start syncing with the moon using my free lunar reset guide, because your body knows how to rebuild from here. So next week, we talk about the part of you that refuses to be tamed, the wild feminine. But until then, grieve, burn, and become. You were never meant to stay the same. I'll see you in the next episode.